Rutledge, and I'm the host of the Rutledge Perspective radio show live on the historic KCOH, the Boost station. And so many of you have asked how to get in touch with me or work with me that I guess it's time to let you know. Well, the easiest way to do so is to head over to my website at laurelrutledge.com. There you'll find my free courses, my one-on-one and group coaching, and my customized consultation connections. Oh, and you'll also find links to this show, my podcast, my fireside show, and my social networks. So here's your call to action. Head to my website and schedule a call with me. If it turns out I'm not your person, I probably know someone who is. But take action today. Now is the time. Let's do this.
Hey, y'all. It is Tuesday morning. We're getting ready to get started. I don't even know. It is Tuesday morning here on the Rutledge Perspective radio show live here from KCOH TV. It's been one of those days already, y'all. KCOH TV radio, The Boost, here in Houston, Texas, on the corner of Alameda and Wichita, at the historic KCOH radio station with our looking glass windows, right? I am using a new platform this morning called Melon. So it took me a minute. I apologize for being a little late. Now I know how I need to do it. I thought everything was already saved, but it's not. So now I know I need to do some things every time I get ready to broadcast here. So I do have a chat thing up so I can see that. And I have, hopefully you guys can see me and hear me. I see one person listening and my mic says it's not muted. So I am assuming that I am on. So we are going to get started on the radio show. Thank you so much for tuning in today. We're going to be talking about taking action. But first, as always, I have some announcements and we're going to talk about voting, right? Because I can't come here without my vote pen now that I have two, especially since I thought I'd lost one. So Kenya had their election. They actually had some controversy. The election itself was very, very peaceful. The election process was very peaceful, but it was basically a 50-50. And so it had to go to their Supreme Court. So Ruto won based on the Supreme Court. His challenger did challenge the Supreme Court and said they had enough evidence with some kind of tampering that was going on. Now, this was not like what we had here. Who knows if this is going to turn out to be a big lie like ours, or such a big dramatic difference. But it appears that this one was really tight, almost 50-50. But the Supreme Court has ruled that Ruto did win the election, and that did result in some real challenges there, some chaos there. So keeping our eye on Kenya. Hopefully they will be able to figure out how to move forward effectively with their new government. That would be our hope and prayer for them. Because remember, what happens to one of us happens to all of us. And we saw what happened to us on January the 6th. And that is absolutely not something we want repeated. Although I did hear Lindsey Graham on the news, I guess a couple of weeks ago, saying if there is an issue and if he runs again and there's no election, or if he's indicted, no, it was if he's indicted, something happens and he's indicted, then there's going to be violence in the streets. So, come on, y'all, I can't, right? This is why it is so important to get registered to vote. Go get registered. If you are turning 18 in the United States, go get registered. Go to your local DMV or your county board of elections and go get registered. Get the documentation and get registered. Every eligible person should be able to be registered and vote. As you guys saw Stacey Abrams say in her response in her debate, she's worked very hard to make sure every eligible voter has the opportunity to vote, and that if people are purged from the rolls illegally, that they are able to get back on the rolls and get registered. So go get registered. Take someone with you. Unfortunately, not every state in the United States does automatic registration. That seems so simple to me. You get a driver's license, it automatically registers you to vote. Because if you've got a driver's license, then theoretically you are eligible to vote, right? So please, that's something we should be thinking about. Just go ahead and get people registered. So get registered to vote, then find out when the deadlines are for making sure you're registered. And if you are trying to get a mail-in ballot, there are lots of rules now around mail-in ballot, because remember that was part of the controversy, that everybody was stealing ballots and all that madness, which also was not true. But there is a lot of controversy around that too. So if you need to mail in for some reason, make sure you understand the rules in your state for mailing in ballots, for both getting one and returning it. There's usually really interesting deadlines around when your ballot must be in, not necessarily just postmarked, but in. And of course, we have all our military who are serving overseas who do get a chance to do their mail-in votes. But for those of you located in the United States, make sure you are paying attention to what the rules are for getting a mail-in ballot and then for turning in your mail-in ballot. That's really important. So please make sure you're paying attention to that. Also, if you are looking to find a way to support our process, our election process, our electoral process, and you don't want to run for office, and I encourage people to run. You know, we are, personal opinion here, I personally find that we are not finding a lot of options because people aren't running, because politics has gotten to be so ugly. And so I encourage people who have some kind of bent to really make significant change and want to run. All the reasonable people in the middle. I'm sure there are some really great people who want to be on school boards or see some things in school boards, because those are like the battleground is school boards in the United States. Pay attention to your school boards. But if you feel so inclined, please run. Go get some information. One person you can go follow is Rebecca M. Thompson, RebeccaMThompson.com. She has a lot of stuff around elections. She's moved away from that space, but she ran her own campaign and then put some things together to really help people who are running for office. When We All Vote is a place where you can get information on how to run for office. A lot of people are helping people, women, people of color who really want to run for office and make a difference. So if you are so inclined, I encourage you to figure out how to do that. Politics doesn't have to be ugly. We've allowed it to become ugly. It doesn't have to be. If all the adults start showing up, we can maybe find a way to start having adult conversations again, which would be just lovely. But if you look at our Congress, we've got to do something different to have people come up and be ready to vote. So make sure you find out who's on your ballot, educated on the issues that are there. Oh, and I forgot, since it's a new platform, if you are new to watching me, I always start with announcements and always talk about voting. Always, always, always. So you can tune in about 10 minutes late. And then we can talk about the topic of the day, but I'm always going to talk about voting. To whom much is given, much is expected. And I cannot be on the air and have this opportunity and this platform without talking about this important issue. So back to the issue at hand. Go get registered, and then go get educated. Who's running for your school boards? Who's running for your city councils? Who's running for your mayors, or your council alderman kind of offices? Who's running for those things? What are their platforms? What do they stand for? Social media, with all of its ugliness, that is real. It's also, because of that ugliness and because of the way it's structured and because people have no boundaries, is also a way to really find out what people have been saying, who are potentially running for office. Now, you need to exercise some caution and you need to exercise some discernment in social media. But there's no way, you can go through this day and not understand how you can Google somebody and see what's going on. So please go get educated on the people who are running, and then go get educated on the issues that are on your ballot, including if there are issues around bond issues and school opening, school closing, all those kind of things. Reproductive rights is another big one. Just make sure you're paying attention to what's going on. Go read the ballot measures. Make sure you understand what your yes vote means and what your no vote means, because they write them with a lot of legalese and other political kind of angles. I'm trying to find the right word. So other political angles, so that sometimes your yes means no and your no means yes. So make sure you do everything you can to understand what you're voting for or voting against. So make sure you do that. It's really important. People gave up a lot for us to have the right to vote. So go do that. This next week on the 13th, Delaware, New Hampshire, and Rhode Island, you have your statewide primaries. Delaware, New Hampshire, Rhode Island. That's a week away. So I hope all y'all are registered. That's a week away. I don't know if one of those 3 states is one of the ones that you can do on-site registration. There are some states that still do that, where you can actually register at an election. Also, if you are interested in helping with elections, consider being a poll worker. If there are not enough poll workers, then polling places close or limit hours. Those tend to happen in underrepresented communities or marginalized communities. And so if you are so inclined, go register to be a poll worker. Go take the training. I'm actually trying to find my calendar now and find some time to go get to be a poll worker. So whatever you can do, I don't tend to be a marcher. That's not my thing. But talking about voting, getting educated on the issues, that's a big thing for me, and helping other people get educated. And so being a poll worker is something that is in line with something I would love to do. So I'm going to be exploring that. So I'll let y'all know what I find out, at least here in Harris County. So think about how you can contribute to it and pay attention. There's a lot of covert stuff, a lot of people playing chess and not checkers. That's what happened and why we are where we are now, right? With what the makeup is of the Supreme Court, et cetera. So we need to be paying attention. All right, places you can go, ballotpedia.org to find your ballot, whenweallvote.org to get the election protection hotline numbers, which is really important, and to get the rules and your rights as a voter. You can find those on whenweallvote.org. Also, another thing that I'll always keep reminding people, the 988 number for the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, the 988 number is up and running. So if you or someone you know really is in need, 988, you don't have to remember the 800 number anymore, although the 800 number is still functioning. So that is still there. And so that's not going away. And they've said, everything I've read says that it will continue to function. This is just an emergency number, 988. Now, I know they're still working through some things. There have been some reports of police showing up as opposed to just emergency facilities when 988 is called, and it not necessarily turning out to be the best situation. But please don't let that prevent you. If you are in need of help, call somebody, call 988, right? And get the help that you need. All right. Next week, 9/13, that's Tuesday, is also, not only is it statewide primary day in those states I mentioned, it is also the evening for the Clarify Your Vision Masterclass, the last one I am conducting for 2022. It is a free masterclass. It's 90 minutes. There will be a replay. It's all about getting clear on your vision. We spent last week getting aligned, right? Activating your alignment, really getting clear on who you are and where you are. This next one is getting clear on what it is you want, right? Because once you have those three things, then you can figure out what it's going to take to get there and what you're willing to do to make that happen. So Clarify Your Vision Masterclass. You can go on my website under services and you can see the masterclass listed. All you have to do is register there, and then you will get an email with the Zoom link in your email the morning of. So that is next week, September the 13th, the Clarify Your Vision Masterclass. And then I will be doing my last group program for women the last quarter. So October, November, December. I'll be making announcements about that soon. You'll see those ads coming up as well. October, November, December. And then I've got some really cool things coming up for next year based on some things that you guys have told me and some comments that I've gotten and feedback I've gotten. I've got some things coming up, including an action vision, alignment vision action. Y'all, I apparently need to go back to bed. An alignment vision action journal. The Alignment Vision Action community is coming up, all of those kind of things. So I'm really excited. Also, between now and the end of the year, I've got some great interviews coming up. So this month of September, my birthday month, you're going to meet Melinda Benlimle, who is a coach. You are going to meet Nicole Walker, who is a podcast coach and data guru. You are going to meet Shinika Crawley, who is all about creating generational wealth. So you're going to meet those three women on the podcast. So those will be released the next 3 weeks, every Wednesday. I will be sending that information out. And then on the Rutledge Perspective, Alignment Vision Action on Fireside, you're also going to meet some cool people coming up. You're going to see Kyra Rennell next week. She has been in the radio station, but our schedules don't mix up for her to come back in studio. So she's going to be on Fireside talking about all the wonderful things she's doing, including starting her own media company as well. She's going to be on Fireside. I've also got Nicole is going to come on Fireside, so you get to interact with her directly, which will be a lot of fun. Holly Dowling, who you guys saw on the radio show, is going to come on Fireside as well. And then I've got Ash Merchant, who's a leader who was on Fireside before, but we had some technical challenges with that. So he's going to come back on Fireside talking about leadership. And then also going to have in October, my friend Cheryl. Cheryl is a breast cancer survivor, Cheryl Vienna. And she is a breast cancer survivor. She is also talk about reinvention. She always wanted to be in the entertainment industry. She came out of corporate. She was at Pratt & Whitney, and we met through a mutual friend. She's also a saxophone player. She's just well-rounded. She is now in LA, in Hollywood, making it happen. She's got a movie coming up. She's going to be in a Hallmark movie. She's doing all kinds of commercials. She's doing all kinds of print ads. You've seen her in the new Sephora ad, and she just did an ad for House Labs with Lady Gaga. So she is killing it. So she's going to be on Fireside in the month of October because she doesn't live in Houston. The next time she's in Houston, if it's on a Tuesday, I'm going to try to get her here in studio. And then my friend Jen Miramontes, who runs Cancer Champion Fitness and is one of only 500 people worldwide certified in cancer fitness. Right? Cancer fitness. She's an exercise physiologist for cancer survivors. Her story is amazing. The reason she started Cancer Champions, and it is a nonprofit, and she has nutritionists that work with her. She's got other exercise physiologists. She is now working in Boston with Mass General on sickle cell anemia as well. She's incredible. So you're going to meet Jen Miramontes as well. So got some amazing women and amazing people coming up on the Fireside Show. This month, of course, every month we also do Empowerment Village at least once a month. It's usually the first Wednesday of the month, midday. And so normally it's on Wednesdays in the evening, starting here in September. It's Wednesdays in the evening. But this week, tomorrow, it's going to be our Empowerment Village session. That's going to be at 11 a.m. Central. So it's a special time because I'm going to get on the plane. It's 11 a.m. Central on Fireside for Empowerment Village. So that's all the announcements today. I'm sure there's something else that I'm forgetting, but it's been crazy. So with new platform and all that kind of stuff, y'all, I'm just trying to make it happen today. So much going on. And then, I did do the drawing. So hopefully you guys saw it. I love that little wheel. It's called Wheel of Names. So if you're doing a giveaway and you want people to know that you're not just making it up, it's a website called Wheel of Names, and you put all the names in there and it spins a wheel. It's like Wheel of Fortune, spins the wheel. So Marcy and Dorothy won the 2 boxes. So I will be sending those out. It will be, ladies, it will be next week, given what's going on. It'll be next week, and I will get your swag boxes out to you. So stay tuned for more swag and stuff too, coming from Laurel, all things Laurel Rutledge and Empowerment Village and Alignment Vision Action and the Rutledge Perspective. It's all coming your way. So today I want to talk about taking action. And I just recorded the podcast about this too. I told you guys last week that I joined this business accelerator that I'm really excited about. It's a lot of work. But anything worth having is worth working for. And one of the things that I think is important for entrepreneurs and for career people in general, even if you're working for someone else, is taking the time to make sure you're feeding yourself, that you're learning, that you're mastering your craft, right? That you are taking the time to really be the best that you can be and be clear on your vision, right? I do alignment vision action for a reason. I've seen what it means to be aligned with who you are, right? Those 4 questions: who you are, where you are, what you want, and what it takes to get there. I know that works. I know it works because I've done it. And I also know it works because the people I work with tell me. So I try to make sure, physician heal thyself, right, that I'm doing some of that for me. And I don't always take the time to do that. And so I'm doing this 90-day accelerator, which is kicking my butt, but it is important, and it's great learning, and it's a great community. And so it's about taking action. And it got me thinking, because I got sick last week, and no, it was not COVID. I know Jerry's up here looking at me. She's like, "Oh, that girl walked in here with COVID." See, I would know better. I would never do that. It was not. And I tested 4 times just to make sure. So it was just a cold. And now I'm apparently allergic to my candles. I'm so irritated. I was sneezing all day yesterday, and then walked outside away from that candle and everything was fine. So I'm just frustrated. I love this candle too. It's called Staying Connected, and it is amber and driftwood. I love it. And so now I can't use it anymore. But anyway, so I was talking about or thinking about action and taking action. It is Action Month, the 3rd month of the quarter, Action Month. And my birthday month. And what am I doing, right? Am I going to take my vacation this year, my retreat this year? I'm doing a retreat in October, so maybe that's going to be the retreat. Just a lot of things, as we still have 4 months left in the year. There's a lot of time to do great things. And so as I started thinking about action, I happened to be watching an old show, really old, because I don't watch any TV. It was Rizzoli and Isles, and I love that little show. And there's an episode where the mom, Rizzoli's mom, is having a yard sale. And one of the boxes, so her partner Frost picks up this box, and in the box is this action figure. And it looks like a transformer or something. I don't know what it is. It's an action figure. And then her brother comes back and says, no, that's not for sale. That shouldn't have been in the box, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, at one point, Jane says, "Why are you guys fighting over this doll?" And they both look at her and say, "It's an action figure, not a doll." Well, one part of the commentary is, why is it that dolls for little boys are action figures, But the same kind of figures for girls are dolls, right? So that's the first thing. That's a whole different conversation, gender bias conversation. And I started thinking about this action figure. And when you think about action figures, they're usually some kind of superhero, right? The Transformers or Marvel or any of those things. If you really think about having bought action figures for your kids, for your nephews, for your nieces, they're always some kind of superhero, right? That takes these big actions, make a big splash, has all these superpowers. That's an action figure. Or they transform into something, like the Transformers, right? They transform into cars or whatever, robots, those kind of things. But there's always some kind of big movement, big splash that they make. And so that made me start thinking about why we have a hard time sometimes taking action, why we get stuck in analysis paralysis, why it's so hard sometimes to just get something done. And I'm really bad about this, right? My list gets so long and I just get overwhelmed by the list and I end up doing nothing, which then piles on to the frustration because then the list just keeps getting longer. The stuff doesn't go away. But as my friend Tisa told me, you can't outwork the work. The work is always going to be there. By the way, sidebar, I know I keep doing this because I'm on a new platform. There is a chat function. I'm streaming live on Melon today, and there is a chat function. So I don't know if some of you are saying good morning or hi or any of that. If you are, I haven't seen anything yet. I'm not quite sure how it all works, so I'm still playing around with it. So if I'm not acknowledging you, please know that it is from my head, not from my heart, because my head is still working through how this thing works. So far, I kind of like it though. So, I don't know what it is sometimes that makes us unable to move and get things done, to move into action, to be in action, to be active, right? Exercising is activity. Being active. We talk about being active. We want people to be active, not sitting at your desk all the time, getting up and moving around, making sure your body's moving, having some kind of movement all the time. And in order to exercise, you have to be active. In order to lose weight and healthy, you have to be active. You have to take action. There's something around that action word. And we put so much pressure on that word. Like action has always got to be big. You're not taking action unless it's big, unless everybody knows it and understands it and sees it. It's big if it's action. But I would argue that even a baby step is action. Just getting out of being stuck is taking action. Like I said, one of my coaches said, imperfect action is better than perfect inaction. We wait so long sometimes to make sure everything is absolutely perfect that we don't move at all. And so we end up having this self-fulfilling prophecy where nothing gets done or we're not moving forward or nothing happens the way we want it to happen because we haven't moved in action. I've heard some people in my 90-day accelerator and even people before have said this. Instead of waiting till something is perfect, entrepreneurs, right? Waiting until something is perfect, what they end up doing is they just launch anyway, or they just tell people they pre-sell. And then depending on how much response they get, then they create the thing or shore up the thing. They don't wait and do all the work and then try to sell it. Now that's counterintuitive, especially someone like me, right? Because there's a process. Proper prior planning prevents poor performance. I'm process oriented. You do the thing, then you sell the thing, and then you deliver the thing. That's how it works, right? That's the supply chain. And yet, action is also, and innovation is also about moving quickly, gathering information, right? Testing, deciding, and then making adjustments. When you talk about ads and stuff, they always talk about A/B testing. Test them, and then you run them again, and then you test them again, and then you run them again. Now, some of this is a patience issue. I'm just not that patient. And yet it takes patience sometimes to really land on the right thing. Now, every once in a while, you're just lucky, right? You just really nail it, or it's timing, kind of like outliers, right? Your timing is just impeccable. You just hit it right on the head. You just nail it. You know exactly what's needed, right? You think about Apple and Apple products when that happened. You think about an Amazon when that happened. So sometimes people hit the sweet spot right at the sweet spot. Spanx, right? Sometimes you hit it just right, but that's not the norm. And so there's a level of patience in action that needs to happen. But if you can readjust, change your perspective, that action doesn't have to be huge, that action is just movement, then perhaps you can get closer to that thing you say you want sooner rather than later. Because movement is action. Taking that baby step, right? Taking some things off your list, deciding what you're not going to do. Good morning, Mama. Taking what you're not going to do. I can see the chat now. Thank you for doing that. Now I know I can see the chat. Now you can really think through, wait a minute, am I going to do that or am I not going to do that? And why? And make a definitive decision about what you're doing. That's a whole different prospect, right? Of thinking about action. Action doesn't have to be turning the world upside down. Action has to be, or action can be simply small steps in a direction, allowing yourself time to gather data, which can insight, to then adjust, to be flexible, to shift, to, for lack of a better word, pivot. I hate that word pivot, by the way, because it's just overused. So many things have been overused during the pandemic. Pivot is one of them. It's that action that can sometimes weigh us down. I'm not doing enough. Why didn't I do more? Why didn't I do it sooner? Why did I do that so late? All of the whys and the how comes and all of that kind of stuff around the action we take and whether the action we took was the right action or enough action. And so we end up putting ourselves in situations where we could probably have made a bigger impact, done something that we really wanted to do, or be closer to our end goal if we had just moved a little bit, just a little bit, just a little bit. If we had taken a minute to move just a little bit, taken one step, made one phone call, sent one email, that's action. Action doesn't have to be saving, the damsel in distress, or, putting out the fire, or doing CPR on someone. That's amazing stuff. And that's absolutely moving into action. We see that all the time. These unsung heroes. Good morning, Mama Young. We see these unsung heroes who just jump into, they don't even think, they just jump into action. Right? I know everybody's seen those videos like on Facebook or Instagram where there was like a kid that was falling from a building and somebody just got right up under it and caught the kid, that kind of thing. There are absolutely people who move into action immediately, big actions. But that's not the only action that can be taken. Sometimes your action is just a decision. I am going to decide to do something different today. I am going to decide to change my morning routine. Okay, I made a decision. That was an action. My next step is to then do it. Now, I may have this whole thing laid out about my morning routine. I'm going to get up. I'm going to exercise. I'm going to meditate. I'm going to do all the 10 things, right? I've just made myself another list. I'm going to do all the 10 things. And then I get up and I'm immediately overwhelmed. Wait, I took the meds before I did the thing, or I did the thing before I washed my face, or I whatever, right? Just finding ways to be irritated with yourself, looking for ways to be upset. And that puts us into inaction. Instead, if you've taken the first step, made the first movement to make a decision, then perhaps your next movement is, okay, my decision is to change my morning routine. I'm going to do it. What is one thing I'm going to change in my morning routine? One thing, just one. There's a book called Just One Thing. One thing. What's the one thing I'm going to change in my morning routine? And then do that. And do it consistently. Do it consistently for a week. Do it consistently for 4 days. I think they say it takes 30 days to make a new habit. Do it consistently for a period of time. And then when you get comfortable with that one, then add another one, right? It doesn't mean your list has to go away. It just means you don't put pressure on yourself that you haven't done anything if you haven't done everything. Let me say that again. You don't put pressure on yourself or get disgusted with yourself if you haven't done everything, telling yourself that means you haven't done anything. Everything and anything are two different things. Have you done anything to move yourself forward? If so, give yourself a pat on the back. Give yourself some kudos. And then you can start moving towards everything else you want to do on your list. But you don't have to do it all at the same time to be in action. Action can be baby steps. Action is about movement. And we often have a hard time thinking about what we need to move because, as I talked about last week, this time thing, right? We only have 4 more months. Shift that perspective. We still have 4 more months to this year. It ain't over till it's over. I love that song by Lenny Kravitz, by the way. It ain't over till it's over. We still have 4 more months to get some things done. And if we move in action, we might actually accomplish them. Might we accomplish everything? Maybe, maybe not, but we'll accomplish something. What is guaranteed is if we do nothing, we will accomplish nothing. Unless your desired accomplishment is to just stay the same. If your desire is to stay the same, to take no risks, to be safe, if that's your desire, then do nothing. But just own that. And there are periods of time when that's all we want. We just need to be safe. We need to be safe and comfortable and we just need a minute. Don't be mad at yourself about that. Just do that and own it and understand it. And keep it moving. Just know that right now I need to marinate. I need to molt. My mom says that all the time. I just need to molt. Hey, Cincinnati. So I've got Odessa in the house and I've got Cincinnati in the house. Sometimes we do need to just molt, right? We just need to sit and veg. Make a decision to do that. Don't try your best not to let that become a habit just out of not paying attention, because that can happen too. But you don't have to do everything everywhere all at once. That's not the only way to take action. Sometimes taking action is just about taking a decision to make an action happen. Sometimes it's just that simple. You know, I'm learning so much in this accelerator, and one, about how other people manage and design their businesses, but also just some other mindsets around action and movement, around positivity and possibility. And I like being a glass half full kind of girl anyway. That's just the way I like to live my life. It's just less pressure that way. And yet, we all have those times when it's like, really, let me just hang this up and go do something else. And we get overwhelmed. You know, as I, through this accelerator, am really lining out what I want this business to look like going forward, because this is year number 5, right? So I'm embarking upon the next 5 years. And I'm going to take time to celebrate in December that I made it through 5 years of this business. I'm going to take time to celebrate that, because that's a big deal. It's a big deal. And I'm forcing myself to remember that it's a big deal. So if you have made it through this pandemic in any way, shape, or form, if you have moved to a new role, kept your same role, kept your sanity during this 3 years, that's huge. We should all be throwing a party in December, and not just for the holidays. We should be throwing a party that we made it in December, because it is quite chaotic out there right now. And it's important to celebrate those wins, celebrate those small wins, because when we can get our minds focused on what we've accomplished, it can give us energy to stay in action, to keep doing some sort of forward movement. If you're trying to get back on your health routine like I am, baby steps. What can you do first? Can you fix the food thing first? Can you fix the exercise thing first? Can you fix the movement first? Can you fix the sleep first? Is there one thing you can do that moves you forward to that thing you say you want? If you're not in a job that you want to be in, or an organization you want to be in, what's one thing you can do? Can you do the research on where you want to be and understand what kind of position you want? And through that research, understand the skills that are required. Can you do the research and find out who you might know that's there? Can you do the work on you to understand what it is you really want. Are you moving because you're mad at them, or are you moving because you want something more for yourself? That's an important question to ask. And we ask that in the Clarify Your Vision Masterclass coming up on September 13th from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. It is really important to ask yourself that question. What is the thing that I want, right? And get clear on why it is you want it. And then if you can change one thing, or if you can do the research on the change you want to make, maybe it's not doing the research because you've really done that. Maybe it's understanding the skills you need to have and then go gathering those. Go taking the course, go getting the certification, go doing whatever the thing is to make you a viable candidate for whatever it is that you want, whether that's a promotion, whether that's an offer to go somewhere else, whatever it is. What action, small little action, can you take to move you forward? Because action is about movement. It's not just about the big splash. It's not just about the burning buildings and the falling babies. It's not about that. It is about movement. It's about understanding that staying still is a decision. It is a decision, but is that staying still decision getting you where you want? Remember the 4 questions: who you are, where you are, what you want, and what it takes to get there. Answering those 4 questions. Movement and what kind of movement you're going to make is determined by your answer to those questions. What are you willing to do to get the thing you want? I still have people coming up to me today saying, I can't believe you left. I can't believe you went out on your own. I can't believe you're doing this. And let me tell you, I have those questions in my mind too, because I tell you what, my timing just stinks. My timing just stinks, right? Tried to sell my first house. That was a nightmare, right? Tried to sell my condo. That was a nightmare. Sold it in the middle of the worst real estate recession ever, right? Really thinking about buying a new house, but that doesn't make any sense, because even if you can sell yours, can you really afford to buy another one? And there's nothing else I can find that I want right this minute, right? Timing. Start my business, 2 years in, pandemic. I mean, if it's gonna happen, I'm gonna have made a decision right before it happens. But I can sit and wallow in that. And there are times when I wallow. I'm a good wallower. There are times when I wallow because sometimes you need to just cry to get it out. Or I can decide to shift my perspective and say, okay, I know I'm not in my forever home. I know I'm not. I knew I didn't want to be in there 10 years, but it looks like that's what it's going to be. Or maybe not. Let me not claim that, right? It may not be. I know it's not my forever home. So what did I learn in the other purchases? What did I learn about timing? What did I learn about my attitude and my vision and my focus during the purchase process? What did I learn about trying to keep real estate and being a landlord? Learned a lot there after $10,000 in damages from somebody who wasn't even supposed to be living in the house. All of that stuff, right? What did I learn about a lack of focus on following up to make sure that I got my money back from the people who lied on the application, right? Trying to do it long distance. What did I learn about that? And what does that mean for me? And how can I do something different next time, right? To move into action differently. That simple decision to reevaluate the outcomes, not for the outcomes themselves, but for what the learning is in the outcomes, is movement. Because the first movement was just being upset and irritated and just sitting with that and just letting it fester. Action is saying, you know what, that sucked. And I am not happy. And every time I think about it, I just get more and more pissed off. Every single time. And there was something I can learn, and then I'll do something different next time. That's action. Making a definitive decision to do it differently. That's action. Taking action, moving away, learning, being a lifelong learner. Action is about movement. It's not about just this big old splash. Becoming an action figure means you are willing to see that action needs to be taken either for you or by you or for someone else. And then doing that. That's what action is about. That's what being an action figure is about. It's taking the opportunity to make some things happen. And we're going to do some shout outs here shortly. And that's another piece of action. That's another piece of action. You know, I originally started the podcast as just a way to build the other pieces of the business. I didn't want a podcast. Definitely didn't want a video podcast, right? Because that meant being on camera. And Lord knows I didn't want to be on camera. And now I'm on camera all the time. Still don't love it, but there's a purpose, right? I'm here for a purpose. Hashtag here for a purpose. And I then started sitting in the whole podcast thing. I kept taking action because there was a time when I was relying on someone else to do some things around the podcast. I had put everything out there. They were supposed to be posting it. They were supposed to be getting it done. And there was always an excuse. Oh, I didn't find it. I did lost my computer. I did whatever the thing was. It never got posted. Well, I allowed that. I'm not going to say it did. I allowed that to take the wind out of my sails. And I didn't post anything for a long time. I didn't record anything for a long time. And I had to sit with myself. I had to take action and sit with myself and say, okay, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? What is the purpose for this thing? Well, Laurel, your purpose is to serve. And one way to serve is to be visible. You can't serve if all you're doing is sitting in your house. You've got to be visible. One way to be visible is to do your podcast, both video and audio, and put it out there and do it regularly so people know when to find you and blah, 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 right? Be visible. So January 2019, I wrote that down in my journal. What were my goals? I was going to be more visible in 2019. And that's when Jerry P. Beasley came into the picture. That August is when I met her, August 2019. But I had decided I was just going to move. I didn't know what I was going to say half the time. I had no idea. I just, all of these things. But I made the decision to be in action, to just do it. Don't think about it. Just do it. Just do it and see what happens. Because I do know what will happen if I don't do it. Absolutely nothing. But the possibilities are endless if you actually move into action, Laurel. And that's what's happened. Now we're over 12,000 downloads. Gunning for 2,000 more in the month of September, in my birthday month. So I really want y'all to help me. I'll do some more swag. I might give away something bigger this time. Do some more swag. So I am claiming 2,000. Y'all help me get to 2,000 downloads on the podcast for September, the month of September. It'll be my biggest month ever. 2,000 downloads, right? I think it will be. Yeah. 2,000 downloads for the month of September. It is just the 5th. So I got plenty of time, 25 more days to get 2,000 downloads, which, by the way, I forgot. I'm going to be posting about this too, because there are still virtual tickets for this. I am going to be speaking at the Afros and Audio Podcast Festival in Philly. I'm so excited. I can't believe it. I just applied, right? Another thing, take action. They were calling for speakers. I thought, well, I don't have anything to say. Who am I? I've just got this baby podcast. I just barely got to 12, all the stuff, head trash. And I thought, you know what? All I can say is no. And the answer is always no if you don't ask. Remember, we talked about that. We have not if we ask not. So I asked, and they were like, yep, absolutely. I think I'm going to be on a panel. I don't think I'm doing a separate workshop, but I think I'm going to be in a panel. But I'm getting to speak at Afros and Audio. It's visibility. It is an opportunity to serve. It's an opportunity to meet some other people in this space where I've determined is where I want to be, right? I took action. And this piece of the business, the radio show that showed up, that you're listening to now, the podcast, which I kept doing, it'll be 144 episodes this week. And then Fireside, where someone referred me to be a creator on Fireside. I still don't know who that is. So whoever you are, if you're listening, thank you. 3 shows, 3 weekly shows. And I love it. I love doing it. I love doing it. And even that's kind of morphing to really get to being, yes, me, and being able to put my message out there, but also connecting with other people, because there's so much stuff I love to learn. And I'm genuinely curious about their stories. And I've got some great people coming on, because we have not if we ask not. I can't wait for you guys to meet Annemieka Anderson on Fireside, who started Mia Donna Diamonds, the disruptor of the diamond industry by doing lab grown diamonds, not CZ, actually taking coal and growing diamonds in a lab, and then using her funds to start a foundation which helped the villages that have been just racked by the mining industry. And they came after her for disrupting, talking about disruptors, right? But moving into action enabled me to now be a speaker at this podcast festival. And I'm claiming that to just be the beginning. It's just the beginning. It is just the beginning. And it is really forcing me to think about this business, because now I've got two prongs of the business. I've got the media side of the business, and I've got the side where I deliver to serve each of you individually or as leaders, right? Your teams, helping you get aligned, helping you have a clear vision and set a clear vision for your team and moving that team into action. It all ties: alignment, vision, action. Whether you're building a career, building a business, whether you are leading a team or just leading yourself, it all ties into alignment, vision, action. It all sits there. Are your words and your actions aligning? Are you clear on your expectations? Are you taking action and doing a postmortem evaluation to learn from that and gain insights to take the next action? It's all there, y'all. And what's interesting, by allowing myself to have baby steps, allowing myself the setbacks, because a setback is just a setup for your next great thing, right? By allowing myself to do that, even in the moments when I think, oh, Lord, why? But keeping moving, even if that movement in the moment is just sitting still and getting myself together, by doing that and then saying, okay, Laurel, just a baby step, one more step. And not focusing on the fact that time is not renewable, at least not to where it gets in my gut, where I'm like, oh my God, I'm getting so old. I can't believe I've done this. Why did I wait? So let all that stop. Find your trigger and stop it, right? Stop the spiral. By taking those baby steps, I'm now at that precipice. I felt like this for a long time. Jerry and I talk about it all the time. I felt like I've been on this tipping point for a while. Didn't know what it was, didn't know which way it was moving. Still knew I'm definitely in my purpose. Impacting, alignment, vision, action. So clear. Alignment, vision, action. Making sure your perspective makes sense and getting other people so you can really solidify your own. It all ties in. It's all so clear, clearer now than it ever was. And it was clear back in 2018 when I started. I just didn't know it. And I wasn't ready. But by making sure I'm staying in action, taking baby steps, I'm able to absorb all of this stuff when I'm ready. We hear the messages we need to hear when we are ready to hear them. When we are ready to hear them. Sometimes it is hard to give ourselves a moment. It's not easy because we want everything yesterday. We're in an instant gratification world. If I don't know, I just Google it. I tell my mom all the time, I don't know, Mama, Google that, right? It's gotten to be so easy to just Google it. It's gotten so easy to not think. Just go look it up. Somebody will tell you what's going on. Right? Take action. Even if it's a baby step. Take action. It doesn't have to be some big splash. Action is about movement. Movement forward. And I would not be still doing this. I would not be here with Jerry P. Beasley if I hadn't taken action. And I almost didn't. Y'all have heard that story. I was like, let me think about it. And I'd be sitting right on my butt wondering what I missed. And then I talked to people about it. And they were like, are you nuts? Of course you're going to say yes. I'm like, oh, I guess I'll say yes. Right. And then I took action. I sent Jerry a message. Hey, if it's still open, I know I may have missed the opportunity, but if it's still open, but see, divine purpose. It was still open because I was supposed to be here. And we held it down during the pandemic, y'all. Masks and all. Held it down, and it is paying off. Y'all are listening all over the world. Y'all are sending me messages from all over the world, and I love every single one, and I want to continue to show up, and I am planning on 2023 to come see you in real life in some places around the world, definitely around the country. Maybe me and Jerry P will buy us a van and go do some road trips. So you never know what might be rolling up. The KCOH TV radio band, the boost, right? We might be showing up in a town near you. You just don't know. But moving in action gives you possibilities. And I like to stay in possibilities because it is easy to stay in lack. It's easy to stay there.
Mhm.
And sometimes we are comfortable in the pain because it's what we know. It's the enemy we know. Sometimes it's just comfortable to just let it go, right? And just say, you know what? I just can't. And some days you need to own that and just sit in the can't, but let it pass and then move forward. Okay, let's do some quick shout outs.
All right. Well, we can roll right on into France,
Yay.
Kenya, Mexico, Brazil, Panama, Germany, Finland, United Kingdom, New Zealand, Cavite City.
Oh, I love it.
Lisbon, Panama City. Let's see, Helsinki, London, Wellington.
Yay.
Big numbers on today. Charlotte, Detroit, Pittsburgh, New York. Also, we've got St. Louis, Los Angeles, Atlanta, Kansas City, Dallas, Fort Worth, and Houston.
I love it. And then I've got Cincinnati and I've got Odessa here, and I'm sure we got Mo City on. So I'm calling y'all out, Mo City. Don't be mad at me. Calling you out, Missouri City, Texas. Thank y'all so much. I know Nairobi showed up last week, the first time I'd not seen Nairobi, which is awesome. And Detroit, love to have y'all back. Glad y'all are here. LA back in the house. So lots of people watching. And those are just the top 10 cities that show up. I know there's so many more, y'all. Send me a shout out. I do a shout out every week, and I do it on purpose because I am truly, truly honored and grateful. And thank you that you choose to spend time with me. So send me a shout out on social and just say, hey, I was there and I'm in such and such a place. Let me know. I will add you to my shout out list because I'm also building my calendar of where I'm going to do some pop-ups in real life. So I might be coming. I already told y'all Portugal. I'm coming to Portugal. I'm trying to figure out how to spend 30 days in Portugal just to come and hang out and learn, eat some great food, right? Rejuvenate, relax, and learn and grow and develop, right? Do some amazing things. So I've got a bunch of y'all on the list. Helsinki, I'm coming to y'all. Y'all keep showing up. All you guys that keep showing up all the time, I'm coming to say thank you. New York City, I'm here in Houston, right? So we'll do a pop-up in town too, somewhere. That'll be fun. Oh, Jerry, we need to do that. That'll be fun. We'll do a pop-up somewhere here in Houston. So y'all stay tuned. 2023 is going to be lit, as they say, right? It is going to be awesome. It is going to be awesome. So as we kind of wrap up today, I'm going to ask Jerry Beasley a question. I do this. I try to prep her, but sometimes it just comes. You know, so I've been talking about taking action. Everybody thinks it has to be some big old splash, taking action. But when you think about the actions that you have taken, Jerry, and now where you are now, where the station is now, has it always been like you have to do something big, or have you, in some cases, taken just some little things and made a little difference and it made a big impact?
No. I had some people come here yesterday to rent out the club area.
Mm-hmm.
And when I went back there, I noticed the air wasn't on. And I'm like, what? We just got a brand new air conditioner. Why is the air not on? So I immediately picked up the phone and called the air guy, and I immediately hung up because I said, "Jack, it's a holiday, so he's not going to come." And he answered, and he called back, and he was like, "I'm just around the corner. I'm coming by." So he fixed it immediately, and I'm like, "Man, that one little simple action, I would have waited until tomorrow, thinking he wasn't available." And I've noticed in life that's been the case. It's been those guard winks, those inspired, make this quick move, make this little move. No, it's never been a big move. The only time it had to be a big move was when I waited too long, and then all of a sudden I got a whole lot to do.
That's good.
Quickly.
That's good. Sometimes waiting too long makes the move you got to make bigger than it would have been had you just moved in the first place. That's good. I hope y'all heard that. Because sometimes waiting, when we think waiting is just giving us a little more time, waiting is creating more work.
Yep.
Waiting is creating more work. Make just one move. Just one move. Action is about movement. Becoming an action figure is not about being a superhero. Becoming an action figure is about taking one step, making one call, connecting with one person. You know, I hate idle chit chat, y'all. I don't do idle chit chat. That introverted empath piece, going to these big things, absorbing all that energy, it's a lot for me. And yet there's some places that are on my list to be and to go and to get involved in. And so I have to get my mind right for that. And my friend Hong, who you guys are going to meet, because I'm determined to get her in studio. She hates being on camera, but I'm determined to get her here because she's amazing. She owns Ethos Consulting. They were an early sponsor of the radio show. And she says she's introverted too. And she's got an amazing business that she's built, she and her husband. And we were talking about this introversion one time because she knows everybody. Everybody. I'm like, Hung, how do you do that? She said, you know what, Laurel? I go to all these things. She said, and it's hard. I don't like going to all of them. And she said, and not true. I don't go to everything. I'm very selective about where I go. But when I go and I know it's going to be a big crowd and I know my nerves are going to be bad, what I do is I say, I know there is one person in this room that I am here to serve. And that's what I think about. I don't think about who can I sell stuff to? Who can I make a new client? She said, because it's about service for me. And that's why we're such good friends, because it's about service for me too. She said, because if I'm in service and I walk in that room thinking, who is here that I need to serve today? Because that could be connecting them with somebody else. That could be providing just a little bit of encouragement. That can be a whole gamut of things that I could provide if I am showing up in service. And when I show up in service, prosperity comes. Right. And I feel the same way. If you keep serving and keep showing up, prosperity comes. Now you got to do the work. You got to show up. You got to be visible. You got to be who you are. Right. I'm taking this 90-day accelerator that's kicking my tail and I'm way behind. I'm behind a couple of videos. So I've really got to get moving because I'm determined. Right. One, I invested in it, significantly invested in it. But I also invested in my spirit and my soul and my mindset in this and said, you know what? I've got 4 more months left. I'm just going to go hard in these 4 months because this is year 5. I'm going into these next 5 years on it. And so when I have those moments where I'm like, oh man, I'm behind. I got so much to do. And I got to get on a plane. I got, all the things. I thought, you still got 4 more months. It's about taking small steps, small action. Your first action was to make the decision to do it. Now you're doing it. All you have to do is one thing every day. Just one thing. Just one thing. And then I woke up this morning. I said, I'm going to change my morning routine, right? I've got to get back on my morning routine. Everything else falls into place for me when my morning routine is on. And I switched it up a little bit, right? One of the things I do with my therapist is she has a singing bowl. I'm determined to find a good singing bowl. They call them Tibetan singing bowls. And they're those bowls. I know you've seen that people have these mallets. And if you rub the mallet on the bowl, they have a noise. It's sound therapy. So we start each session with this singing bowl. And it's just a way to calm spirit. And she has this process she goes through, kind of this mantra she says while you're doing it. And I haven't been able to find a bowl. And so we've been doing it so long and I know her so well that I hear her voice in my head. So I'd started first. I'm like, let me just say this to myself. I can pretend I hear the bell, blah, blah, blah. Then I remembered, see, y'all, things happen. You never know when something's going to show up. Years ago, this had to be when I was traveling. It was probably when I was with Deloitte. So in the 90s, right? I was traveling somewhere and I got this little tapestry box. It may be 4 inches long, about 2 inches deep, a little rectangular box, padded box. And on the inside are 2 musical balls. You find them a lot in China and they have a sound, right? And the whole idea is you keep these balls in your hand and you roll them together and you hear the sound. It's again, sound therapy, right? It's like people use them when they're meditating. I'd forgotten all about these things. Forgot all about them. I got them there with my stamps. I got them on my little desk, right? I love everything I've got sitting there. Forgot all about them. Found them the other day. And now I can do that mantra when I sit in the morning. I do my morning meditation. I do my read. And then I do this sound to calm my spirit. And then I read my manifesto. And then I get started. And I've just determined no matter what time it is, even if I feel like I'm running late, my one step is to do that every morning before I touch the mouse. And then I set my priorities for the day before I touch my email, right? But the one thing, I'm getting back to my routine. I've made that one tweak to add these sound balls, and I make sure that happens before I start any kind of work. And this morning, as much anxiety as I was feeling, got the podcast recorded, got the audiogram done, got it all posted, got everything ready to go. Everything is done and done. And I don't have to think about it. I'm not going to be scrambling tomorrow. And I got here in time to have drama with my new platform because I don't know how to use it yet, right? One thing can make a difference. You don't have to turn the world upside down in a day. Make one change. Make one change. If I can leave you with anything today, make one change. Take one action. Make a small movement towards the thing you want. All right, y'all. Don't forget, Clarify Your Vision Masterclass is next week, the 13th, 6 to 7 p.m., 6 to 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. It's going to be via Zoom. All you have to do is go to my website, laurelrutledge.com. Under the services, you'll see the masterclass and register. You'll get the Zoom that morning. There's some ads coming out, so you'll get to see that. Clarify Your Vision Masterclass. Come on down and join me. There will be replays, so if you sign up, you'll get the replays. So come do that. Clarify Your Vision here in September so that you can move into action. I'm doing it early in the month, the 13th, so then you can take the rest of the month to really decide what your actions are going to be moving forward. We still have 4 months left in this year to make a really big impact and get closer and closer to those things we want, to our divine purpose, to what we have been put here on this world to do. Don't hide your gifts under a bushel. They were given to you for a reason, to serve others. So go out there, make a small movement to make a big impact. Love you guys. We'll see what happens with this live stream. Thank you guys for sending me messages today so that I know it's working. We'll see what happens after, but this is going to be the thing, probably using Melon going forward. Catch you on Fireside tomorrow, 11 a.m. for Empowerment Village. And then we'll see you next week here on KCOH TV radio station, The Boost in Houston, Texas. Take care, y'all. Bye.
Hey, Lynette Whitaker, long time no